Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The Honorable Speakers of Parliament, the Honorable Members, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to address you today in the fulfillment of the mandate vested in me under Article 1321C of the Constitution to report to you and to the people of Kenya on the measures we have taken and the progress we have made in realizing our national values and principles of governance, and to submit to you, honorable members, the progress made in fulfilling our international obligations. Since my last address, Kenya has undergone rapid change, occasioned by the collective awakening of the people in the understanding that the state of nation depends on the work we do individually and collectively. This realization extends not only to what we choose to undertake, but also to how we go about securing careers, livelihoods, and contributing to the grand enterprise of nation building. There has never been doubt, and now there is none whatsoever, that Kenya is a land of bold ambition, with our citizens always desiring and insisting on the best possible standards, not only for themselves, but also for their families and for our nation. Consequently, our democracy has empowered citizens to ask questions and demand changes in the way their affairs are managed, driving the wheels of our nation's social, political, and economic transformation faster in the direction of excellence and prosperity. Rare are the times when leadership is ahead of the people. We are always striving to steer the machinery of state and government to keep pace with the aspirations of our citizens. We have learned through the hard as well as the more customary ways that listening is a full-time occupation of leadership, and that all questions asked by the people must be answered thoroughly and in full. We have learned never to take anything for granted and make every effort to carry all our people along with us in the pursuit of our transformation. The context in which I make this national address is not only significantly different from previous occasions, but it is also a singular moment with unique historical implications for us all. It is an opportunity to affirm the principles and values of which our nation stands, review the steps we have taken, the path we have chosen in our journey of national development, and reinforce the commitments we have made to one another and to our beloved nation for the sake of the present and future generations. I do not take this for granted, and with utmost respect and humility before this august assembly of the people's elected representatives, I desire to respond to the most pressing concerns that have been raised by Kenyans of all walks of life in recent months. To my understanding, the concerns and issues voiced by millions of Kenyans about the state of our nation deserve meaningful engagement, thorough understanding, and thoughtful response. There are discussions about whether leaders understand the pain, hardship, and struggles endured by countless citizens every day as they strive to make ends meet, and whether the government is doing anything about it. Similarly, many struggling Kenyans impatiently wonder, when will real money get to their pockets, and when will the jobs promised, which they deserve, become a reality? Additionally, there has been conversations about our education system, particularly the transition to the competence-based curriculum, and whether policies in this sector are working for or against Kenyans. Important questions have also been raised concerning the direction of development in relation to democracy, human rights, and fundamental freedoms, as well as the rule of law, transparency, and accountability. Another more direct question that emerges every now and then is whether public policy in this administration is in furtherance of service delivery to citizens or just in aid of political strategy. It is undeniable that for many Kenyans, times are hard and the struggle to meet their daily basic needs remains daunting. It is also true that these conditions have persisted for a number of years now, leading to much frustration and anxiety. Although we have gone a long way to mitigate some of these difficulties, much remains to be done, though we have laid a firm foundation for decisive intervention. I believe that it is critical for us to bear in mind that this administration was inaugurated at an extremely difficult time, characterized by domestic challenges, compounded by regional and global security, geopolitical, financial, as well as climate dynamics. As a result, in 2022, the country's total debt burden was not only immense, but it was also stacked up in the most burdensome manner, leaving very little room for investments in public service or development of critical infrastructure. The prices of basic food commodities soared as a result of a combination of prolonged drought, declining local productivity due to inadequate support, and disruptions in the global supply chain caused by the war in Europe. Kenya faced a crossroads of extremely difficult choices, where defaulting on our obligations would have significantly worsened an already perilous situation, and more borrowing was not an option. It was therefore essential for us to drastically reduce expenditure, mobilize as much as possible resources domestically, and curtail waste. As I informed the nation then, matters were going to get more difficult before they could get better. And we all had to tighten our belts and work hard under very unforgiving conditions. We had staked the fate of our ambitious bottom-up economic transformation agenda on easing the stress that the economy was in and the strain citizens underwent, while creating room for the implementation of our transformative interventions. Members, I give this background to underscore two very important facts. First, we haven't been watching helplessly and doing nothing as adversity took a toll on the economy and undermined the livelihoods and well-being of the people. On the contrary, we have been working tirelessly to steer the country away from the brink of unprecedented economic collapse and onto a more promising trajectory. The second point is that while we may not be where we would like to be, we are certainly not where we were 2.25 years ago. At the same time, the cost of living was substantially high, with prices of basic commodities beyond the reach of many households. Today, I'm proud to report that the macroeconomic indicators point to a positive turnaround and an upward trajectory. Allow me to highlight a few milestones that underscore this progress. The shilling has stabilized significantly, appreciating from Kenya shillings 162 to the dollar in February 2024 to Kenya shillings 129 today, a remarkable gain of 20%. This recovery has restored confidence in our financial markets and significantly reduced the cost of servicing external debt, creating fiscal space for our development imperatives. Inflation has declined dramatically from 9.6% in September 2022 to 2.7% in October this year. the lowest rate in 17 years. This achievement has been the consequence of favorable weather and our deliberate efforts to support farmers with affordable inputs, including subsidized fertilizer, leading not only to increased production but also productivity and lowering the prices of many cereals, including maize, pulses such as beans and peas. Our foreign exchange reserves have surged by US dollars 2.4 billion to hit a new record of US dollars 9.5 billion, providing a 4.8 month of import cover, the highest in 10 years. This resilience shields us from external shocks in the global economy and restores investor confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, interest rates are also trending downwards, reducing borrowing costs and freeing up fiscal space for growth-enhancing initiatives by business. Tax revenues have grown by 11.5% in the year to June 2024, reflecting the success of our tax-based expansion measures. The economy continues to grow steadily, recording a 5.6% growth rate in 2023, among the highest globally. We project 5% growth this year and 5.6% growth next year. Honorable members, our efforts to secure food security and stability are already bearing fruit. Since February, we have distributed subsidized fertilizer to 6.45 million registered farmers in 45 counties, enabling them to increase their yields. And this year, we have procured and through e-vouchers distributed 7 million bags of both planting and top dressing fertilizer to boost food production across the country. This intervention will see a projected increase in maize production, for example, to a record 74 million 90 kilogram bags. We have also concluded long-term agreements with 11 suppliers of assorted fertilizers so as to make this commodity available all year round. Fertilizer for the long rains season will be stocked in outlets nationwide, ensuring our farmers are ready to plant, grow, and produce. This forward momentum will not only increase our agricultural output, but also reduce our reliance on costly food imports, securing a more self-reliant and a more prosperous Kenya. This approach, rooted in my administration's policy to support production rather than subsidize consumption, has already made food more accessible, more affordable to many households. Today, Kenya boasts substantial national stocks. 47 million bags of 90 kilogram bags of maize are in our stores. 8.8 million bags of beans, 10.4 million bags of wheat, and 2.1 million bags of rice. Slowly but surely, we are building a food-secure Kenya, where families need not to worry or worry less about their next meal. In the sugar sector, we have achieved a historic milestone. All 17 sugar factories across Kenya are now operational, producing at impressive levels, while 4 new sugar factories are under construction. In July alone, domestic sugar production reached 84,000 metric tons, surpassing the national monthly consumption average of 40,000 metric tons. For the first time in recent history, Kenya is producing enough sugar to meet our local demand. This success is attributed to many factors: subsidized fertilizer for sugarcane farmers, an additional 500,000 acres that has been brought under production, and improved management of the sugar sector, which have revitalized production and brought the industry back to life. I just signed, as you know, the new sugar laws to provide further policy guidance as we seek to be a sugar exporting country shortly. In the coffee sector, we are on track to increase exports from 51,000 metric tons this year to 150,000 metric tons by 2027. The government has also raised disbursements from the 𝐶HRIF Advance Fund from 2.7 billion to 6 billion Kenya shillings, complemented by an additional disbursement of 1.5 billion by the Commodities Fund. Average prices at the Nairobi Coffee Exchange have risen by 25%. And in the last financial year, the country produced and exported 48,000 metric tons, earning farmers Kenya shillings 25 billion. Additionally, 320,000 bags of fertilizer have been allocated specifically for the coffee sector, and we will be working with cooperatives to make sure this fertilizer is distributed at the nearest possible destination to the farmers. These interventions are expected to boost smallholder farmer earnings from Kenya shillings 300,000 to 500,000 per acre annually by the year 2027. The dairy sector remains a vital value chain with a quick turnaround impact on households in the economy. The government of Kenya has released and you members approved 3 billion shillings to modernize the new KCC, ensure farmers are paid on time, and maintain a high price of Kenya shillings 50 per litre. As a result, intake to KCC has increased from 100,000 litres a day to 220,000 litres a day by last month. Other strategic interventions include the extension of duty-free imports for feed manufacturing raw materials, subsidized artificial insemination services, and the reduction of sexed semen costs from 7,000 to 2,900 through the Kenya Animal Genetic Resource Center. These measures have led to a 14% increase in milk production from 4.6 billion litres in 2022 to 5.2 billion litres in 2023, with projections exceeding 6 billion litres this year. The value of exported dairy products has nearly doubled, rising from Kenya shillings 4.8 billion in 2022 to Kenya shillings 7.2 billion in 2023. These gains demonstrate how targeted policies can deliver tangible benefits to dairy farmers and drive growth in our economy. Honorable members, by 2022, the education sector was in a crisis with a lack of clarity in transition to the competence-based curriculum, a shortage of 110,000 teachers, and 23 out of 40 public universities were technically bankrupt and at risk of closure. Among those facing severe challenges were huge institutions such as my own alma mater, University of Nairobi, Kenyatta University, Moi University, Egerton University, Maseno University, Masinde Muliro University. To address this issue in our education sector, we have already hired, as you know, members, 56,000 teachers and are in the process of recruiting another 20,000 by January next year. We have also ensured the seamless transition of learners from primary to junior secondary and domiciled grades 7, 8, and 9 in primary school, optimizing the use of existing infrastructure, ensuring the safety of young learners, and protecting parents from the high costs associated with boarding schools far away. Recognizing the financial challenges faced by our universities and TVETs, we introduced a new student-centered higher education